This is the Chuck E. Cheese Clubhouse.
Everywhere you look, there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, there's a face.
Welcome to the 12th episode of the Chuck E. Cheese Clubhouse. I'm Zach,
I'm Josh.
and today we are going to be talking about a sort of bad movie. It's called Countdown. Roll the clip.
Our phones have become essential. Apps keep track of our schedules, our fitness, our love lives. But what if an app could tell you how long
I got 63 years.
57 years.
before you die? Would you want to know?
What? 2 days?
This app, it's fake, obviously.
My girlfriend said the same thing. It knew. That app said she was gonna die.
Whatever's happening to us, I think it's because of this app. I need a new phone. A new phone, new number, new service.
Anything else I can help you with?
No.
The Countdown app, it's really just a random number with a clock. It's not that scary, but it seems like it worked on YouTube clowns.
This must be everyone that downloaded the app.
My sister, she downloaded it.
All we need to do is beat the clock by 1 second.
Have you ever done anything like this before?
No, but I've read about it. A lot. What if this doesn't work? A fate much worse than death will pursue you.
Come with me.
It will overwhelm you until you are utterly destroyed.
Wake up.
Yo, are you calling my name?
So Countdown is the new horror movie where there's an app for everything in the world, and there's an app that tells you when you die. So they have a group of people at a party, and they all download the app, and one girl gets 3 hours left. So she's supposed to go in a car in 3 hours with her drunk boyfriend, and she says no, I don't want to. And she changes her fate, and then on her phone it says user agreement broken because she pressed agree for everything when she downloaded the app. And then her drunk boyfriend drives off angrily, and then she gets to her house, and then she has 1 minute left, and all these weird things are happening, just demonic things, scares. And then there's 10 seconds left. You just feel this tension growing. And then at the 2 minute mark, something grabs her, kills her, and then she falls on the ground, and then her phone goes off because she, in a scream because she's dead. That's how the movie starts. All right. Then after that, it cuts to the same timeline, but this is showing her what happened to her boyfriend, and he crashed his car, and a tree trunk went through the seat where the girl, I'm pretty sure her name was Haley, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Her Haley's seat. Now you never hear of her again, basically. So now it cuts to this girl, which is a new she just passed her test to be a nurse, and they're all downloading the app, and one of her like coworkers gets like 56 years, one gets like 70, all this stuff, and then she gets 2 days, and she's like panicking, and she goes to she's like not scared though because she's like it's fake like everyone else thinks, and then she goes to this person named Evan, which was Haley's boyfriend, which like isn't like a big part, but like you'll understand in a minute. So he downloaded the app, and she died at the certain time, and like that would have been her fate either way. And then it says he's gonna die during his surgery. So what he does is he like tries to like stall it. He like stalls like the surgery by like going to the bathroom multiple times. And when he goes right before the surgery, it says user agreement broken because he changed the fate. And then all these things happen that get him to like accidentally fall downstairs when he's on crutches, and he falls and breaks his neck. And then the timer goes off and he's dead. And then she like gets on gets his phone that hasn't been like completely shattered yet, uses like the facial recognition. I can't speak for some reason. Facial recognition, and it says that he had 0 seconds, 0 days, 0 minutes, all that left, and his time was up. So now she only has 1 day left, and she's like just chilling. She's saying bye to everybody, and like she only has 1 day left, so she's like, that's the time I should be on the road with my dad and sister. So she cancels the trip, and then it says user agreement broken because she changed her fate. And then we meet this guy named Matt, and he's like, bruh, I only have 1 day left too. And basically, they're like an hour apart, and he was supposed to go on this trip on a train, and he cancels the trip, and the train crashes and stuff like that. Would you like to continue it from there?
All right. So when she meets Matt, she was at first trying to get a new phone because she believes if she got a new phone without the app on it, it would just cancel out the whole thing. But the app reinstalled itself automatically with her time still on it. So then they go to the guy who owns the place where she got her new phone because, well, he's big smart hacker man because he owns a phone shop. And so they go into the thing, he hacks into the app, and he changes their numbers. So
Their death date.
Their death date is like way in the future, so they get a ton more years. And now, I don't know what happened. I went to the bathroom.
Wait.
Can you explain?
When? Oh. So they get like 71 more years each, and so she's like, "Are you sure you want to sleep alone tonight?" And he's like, "Not at all." So they go to her house, and her name's Harley, right? Quinn Harley. Okay, her name's Quinn. So Matt and Quinn go to her house, and they're like sleeping together, and then all of a sudden it's like a monster arm is like on top of her, and then they check their phones, and one says 3 hours, one says 4 hours, and it reset, and they're like panicking because they realize that it's real. So they go to this guy, and he's like, how would you say it? Like a priest? Like a priest for demons?
Yeah, like an exorcist.
An exorcist. And he realizes if you use salt in this like seance, then like it's like, bro, you can't get in. So they all like paint with salt and stuff, and they make this like circle, and Matt's in the middle, and his phone's going like absolutely nuts. His phone's ringing, like doing every single thing it can do, and like you see a demon, and like he can't get through. And then all of a sudden you see this like kid, and he's like, Matt, why'd you take my toy? And he's like, I was gonna give it back. And he walks out of the circle because the demon lures him, takes him out front, and then like puts all these chairs. Everyone's ripping the chairs. Quinn like runs out of the house, and then Matt's like, there's like 10 seconds left until his death, and you just see him like he let go, and then 5 seconds goes by, and like Quinn's walking over to him, and then he gets hit by a car, and then he finally dies after the car hits a tree with him in between. Ooh, that's a lot to comprehend. All right,
Okay.
can you go from there?
So basically now what's happening is they're all freaking out because they know there's nothing else they can do. But then Quinn remembers there's this one evil doctor guy who has 76 years. So her thinking is if they kill him first, it will reset their destiny because it won't be the chain will be broken, kind of like Final Destination. So they go to the hospital, and this guy is kind of like a, let's just say, predator. So
Yeah.
he was creeping on her. And so she tries to
Hard.
lure him into this unfinished back room. And so she lures him in there, and then she tries to kill him, but he fights back. And every chance she gets to kill him, the monster pulls him away, so it can't be broken.
Death. The Grim Reaper takes him and tries to make sure he doesn't die.
And so she continues her fight, but then it gets her sister. And so she realizes the only thing she can do now to save her sister is kill herself.
Big brain.
But the monster transforms into her mom to try to stop her from doing it and to convince her, oh, it's all fine, you don't have to do this, so it can continue on with the cycle. But she doesn't listen, and she injects a bunch of morphine into herself, killing herself, which then makes the monster evaporate.
The monster goes haywire, and he's like, you changed your own fate, which is you can't change death. You can't alter your fate, is what they're saying. So when, if she killed him, the pedo doctor, that before his 71 years was up, you're altering death in general, so you can alter your own fate, is what basically they're thinking. So the Death is about to kill her sister, and she's like, bruh, death, and then she injects morphine, and then what's it called, Narcan?
Narcan. But then her sister injects
Okay,
Narcan into her. So she's alive and the day is saved.
So basically what happened was she died for a minute, injected Narcan into this certain place, and she's alive, and she altered fate, basically.
Oh, and also, the one doctor got arrested, so.
And also, the last thing I want to talk about was the ending. So, they go to their mother's grave because the mother was dead, and they're all like, all right, come on, let's go. And the sisters are now friends now after everything. And then she gets a phone ring, or a buzzer, or I should say notification.
Yeah.
And it says Countdown 2.0 is available, and then it cuts to black.
And then it's scary sequel, the sequel that everyone wants.
All right, let's start it off with directing. Josh, would you like to talk about
Okay,
this?
so I'm gonna specifically with directing talk about the scary scenes. There was one good one because it was the most unexpected and the most surprising. Basically, all the scare scenes in this were jump scares. So you know what you're expecting. Not much tension and not very long-lasting fright.
It's the guy that died in her hospital, and she's looking at the Countdown app, and you hear oh my gosh, everything's coming, and she gets scared, and she puts down her laptop, and then it changes the view, and then you see Evan, and that part actually got me. I don't know if it got anybody else, but
I mean, all the other scares, the only reason they wouldn't even scare you, they'd be surprising because the music was so loud.
yeah, and I don't know what they were trying to get through some of these scenes, the bathroom scene with Matt.
Yeah.
It was literally the entire time there was just someone behind him, and then right as he walks out, they jump on him. Didn't make sense, and you didn't know who it was or why, until like the end of the movie, and then it's just dumb. The directing doesn't get like any credit for anything. It was horrible, in my opinion.
Okay, next is the acting. Well, it's a PG-13 horror movie released around October. You can expect nothing great. It really just feels like they plucked some random people off the street and paid them minimum wage. They did not feel like real people. They weren't well acted. Now, you can't blame this entirely on the actors. Maybe they're good actors, and maybe it was just the director not being good at directing actors, but either way, none of the performances were good. All of them were lacking anything special. So yeah.
It looked like one of those TMZ clips that like,
Yeah.
like you know the TMZ when they're like they have like a paparazzi like clip, and like everyone's just like get away, get away. That's exactly what it looks like, and it wasn't good at all. I don't give any slice of pizza for acting.
Okay, so the story and the script. Well, we've explained the story, and yeah, this isn't the best story.
Yeah.
It's pretty generic, and it rips off a lot from Final Destination. Like, the whole time I'm just thinking, they did this in Final Destination. It was so much better.
Yeah, I could actually hear him say like, "Is this Final Destination?" Like stupid, like it's just stupid, and it's predicting your death.
And the thing is, the Final Destination movies may not be the best horror movies, but at least the kills are interesting and fun. In this, they're all just either off-screen or just horrible. So, it's not much to say on that. The story was generic, boring, and there's nothing special about it. So, it gets no Chuck E. Cheese pizza slices.
All right, cinematography.
There was maybe one interesting shot, and it was on the stairs only because of the lighting. They had like a red light that illuminated most of the scene, but the characters were facing away from it, and that was kind of interesting, but nothing I haven't seen or nothing special in any way really, so.
I did like one part, and it was like the sensor light in Jordan's room.
Yeah.
What happened was when you walk by, the light turns on because it's a sensor. And she walked past her room, and then the light went back on, off, and you could like see like there was nothing there, but like something's walking by multiple times. And then she like walks out, and then you can see that she's her like caretaker is in her room sleeping, and then she walks by, the light goes on, follows her, and then the light goes back on. She walks out, no one there. Just stuff like that, and I thought that was like pretty good. But that was like one good scene in the entire movie. Editing.
Oh boy. So, there are two parts in this where the sound editing was so bad. They cut the scene in between a line, and you could tell so much that it was two different takes because the audio sounded nothing alike. It sounded like, and this is probably the case, they were either being dubbed over or they were using a different mic because it just was like horrendous how horrible it was.
Yeah, the two scenes, one, she's like, Jordan is yelling at Quinn, and she's like, just so you know, and then it cuts really fast, and it's like, me and Joe are gonna do like whatever in like a different room or something because like she snuck her boyfriend in or something. And then the other one's like, hey, how are, and then it just cuts like, you, and then he's like, I'm Matt. And it's just so dumb, and like, they could have looked this over and been like, oh, what is that? Like, the person like didn't even know what they were doing, and that really, really hurt the movie.
It's so jarring that it's funny. Like, there was one other person in the theater besides us anyway, but like, it was just laughter during both of those scenes. It was not good. And especially with a movie with, I'm not saying it probably didn't have the biggest budget, but it probably had a bigger budget because, I mean, they wanted to make money. But yeah, with a movie like this, you cannot have that.
Yeah. I mean, it started off good, and like these like 5 points we're getting at. The movie started off good, but like 20 minutes in, you realized how horrible this movie was, and we were just laughing at it the entire movie, and it was just a joke. I thought this movie was okay. It was more of just like, it was more of a, like, it's so bad it's good. So.
Yeah, it was like so bad you could laugh at it, and that was like the only way it was enjoyable. If you actually wanted to see a decent horror movie, yeah, I would not recommend this at all.
Yeah, just go see It Chapter 2 or something.
Yeah.
All right, we rate this movie 1 out of 8 Chuck E. Cheese pizzas.
Okay, so as many of you may know, Kanye West released his new Christian-themed album, Jesus is King, recently. And well, it's not Yandhi, but it is its own thing. So I'll be covering it now. So basically, Jesus is King it's a butchered Christian version of Yandhi. If you've listened to any of the Yandhi leaks, you might recognize a little bit of this, because he uses a lot of the same elements in it. But in my opinion, this album felt rushed and bland and overall pretty boring. There were only a couple songs I really enjoyed on this, that being Sella and Closed on Sundays, which are probably the 2 leading singles I'd say on this album. But the problem with the rest of this album is he definitely rushed it more than he needed to, and he held this album back twice. People thought it wasn't ever going to come out, but it did. And yet it still felt rushed. The instrumentals were very lacking in creativity and depth in most of the songs. The sound was very similar on pretty much all of them. Like, you could play 2 back to back, and without knowing they're different songs, you might think it's just one long song. Also, a lot of these songs are very short. Some of them are only like a minute long, while others are like around 5, which it can be inconsistent while listening to, especially when it's a smaller album, only about 11 songs. And, well, it's not what you'd expect from a Christian album. When people think Christian, they don't think Kanye West, but it still feels like a Kanye West album and not a Christian album made by Kanye West. It feels like Kanye West made a Christian album, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Kanye.
But there are definitely parts where you can hear like his signature way of rapping and his flow, such as in Sella, which is my favorite of the album. And Closed on Sundays is more like some of his other songs where it's more low-key and a lot more soulful and less rap-focused. But some of the other songs on this album, it's just, there's not much variety in the verses. It's very repetitive. And you could say the same about Closed on Sundays. The main verse of that song is repeated through most of the song, but it's a better main verse than some of the other songs. Now, to talk on the album as a whole, the instrumentals were very lacking in creativity and depth. There wasn't much. Well, there were some different ones in some pieces, but overall it felt very rushed and there could have been better work done on them. The vocals, I'd say mostly the same about them. They felt rushed and very bland and boring. Like, Kanye, he can give some of the best vocals on a lot of songs, but on these he felt like he wasn't really into them as much, except for Sella, which he felt very into. The arrangement of this, the first half is the better half, by far. The pretty much only 2 songs I like are in the first half, but the rest of it is very lacking and doesn't really hold up, especially when compared to the first half of the album. And the quality overall, definitely not. It was very rushed and not very special. Like, it's unique, but it's not good unique. Like, it has a unique message and all, but the actual sound being put out wasn't very good. But individually, I liked Sella, which I think is a very good song. It holds up very well. He has great flow in it. It felt like he actually tried on this one song. And then Close on Sundays also as well. It felt like those two songs had the most effort put into, making them, in my opinion, the best. And I'd say overall this was just for those two songs, which I think are great, a very good album while not being anywhere near his best work. It's definitely something I would recommend just to hear if you want to listen to Kanye, how he's evolved throughout his time and what his newest project is going like. So I'd give this album 3 out of 8 Chuck E. Cheese pizza slices.
All right. I think that episode went pretty well, don't you think?
Yeah. Something feels a little off, though, don't you, wouldn't you say?
Oh my God, we forgot Cooper.
Eh.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks for watching.
Wake up.
Yo, are you calling my name? Relax. Hey. It was just a nightmare.
It went back to what it was.